Hey YouTube, Tweak here, bringing you all an update to my Dinowrestler Yugioh deck profile for post Dawn of Majesty. With the latest Yu-Gi-Oh booster pack, we were given this new card, Dinowrestler Yugioh. This is a pretty awesome Dinowrestler that definitely does help for the overall play style of the deck, just giving us a much easier special summon for our Dinowrestlers and giving us setup for all the other different ways of extra deck summoning, including Synchro and Fusion. Provided with the fact that this is a level 6 monster, it just adds a lot of different synergy to the deck that I'm very happy with. And as always with the Dinowrestler deck, going for more of a pure deck profile for it. So we're going to be sticking to mostly Dinowrestler monsters for the entire deck, because like I said, I think that's one of the more fun versions of the deck to play. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the new Dinowrestler, we are running 3 of the Dinowrestler Yugioh. You can discard one other dinosaur monster to special summon this card from your hand. You can tribute one dinosaur monster, then target one Dinowrestler monster in your graveyard with a different original name from the tributed monster and special summon it in defense position. You can only use this effect of Dinowrestler Yugioh once per turn. So not only is it an easy special summon, but being able to set up other dinosaurs in our graveyard to special summon back into the field is a big plus then and there. It just helps for the fact that this card can be special summoned by an easy resource and not having to have some of the other Dinowrestler requirements, like having your opponent control monster while you control no monsters, or just for the special requirements. We haven't really seen much for Dinowrestler special summons like this since Dinowrestler Pankratops, but having this card at 3 just gives us more and more plays to work with, since we're also able to, change around the number of different Dinowrestlers we have on the field for this card by tributing other ones and getting more useful ones we may need on the field also. So this card is definitely a 3-up for the deck, just for that overall play style. For the next Dinowrestler, before we get to the rest of the 3-ups, we only run the one Dinowrestler Pankratops. Sadly, we would definitely run this at 3 in the deck. I would say it's definitely one of the strongest cards in the deck, but it is at 1 on the ban list still. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Pankratops once per turn this way, and quick effect, you can tribute one Dinowrestler to target one card your opponent controls and destroy. I know most people know Pankratops' monster effect, but still, having this card as that resource in the deck just gives us an easy special summon on the field. With this and Yugioh, you can easily have the 3 monsters on the field with only taking up 1 normal summon to get out your main link monster, which is Dinowrestler King T-Rexel. So with this, you want to have more, but I guess we'll just have to see later in the future if this card ever comes off the ban list. For the other 3-ups for the Dinowrestlers, I run 3 Dinowrestler Capoeira Raptor. This attack position card cannot be destroyed by battle. If it is attacked, change it to defense at the end of damage step. During the standby phase with this card's in defense position, you can special summon 1 Capoeiraptor from your deck, and you can use this effect of Capoeiraptor once per turn. So that's why we're running 3 of this card. So we have the max number to special summon out onto the field. So if you get 1 with the first special summon, you can have that additional 1 if you save the 1 resource on the field for you to use. And having more and more cards on the field for you to use just gives you more and more options for all your different extra deck summonings. And the fact that this card is a level 4 dinosaur also gives us Xyz options in the extra deck to go into some of the Evil Czar Xyz monsters. And I also run 3 of the Dinowrestler Yugioh Links. With this one, if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. While you control a Link 3 or higher Dinowrestler monster, face-up monsters you control are unaffected by the activated effects of your opponent's Link 3 or lower monsters. So this is more of a protection card when you have your King T-Rexel on the field. Having this card special summon out gives you that barrier needed to work alongside your King T-Rexel on the field, with the option of your opponent not being able to activate spell and traps, which we'll go over more when we get to the extra deck. But just another easy special summon. If your opponent has 2 or more monsters, you can then special summon Yugioh Links and then summon out Pankratops, since your opponent will still control more monsters than you before even taking care of your normal summon. I also run now for some of the lower numbers 2 Dinowrestler Stegosaur. If this card is special summoned, you can add 1 Dinowrestler monster or World Dino Wrestling from your deck to your hand. And during the end phase of this card in the graveyard, because it was there this turn, and your opponent controls more monsters than you can target 1 Dinowrestler monster in your graveyard except for Stegosaur and special summon it. So that's why we're only running 2 of this card. It's more of a situational special summon, but with this special summon, we have some other spells in the deck that definitely do help for special summoning these resources back onto the field to make use of, and being able to search out our main go-to field spell just makes it all the better for that search option. And if we don't go for the field spell, having monster options also is a big help. I also run 2 Dinowrestler Marshall Onkilo and 2 Dinowrestler Marshall Ampello. These are more like hand trap options when our Dino Wrestlers do battle against our opponent. I'm only running 2 of each. They're more situational, but still nice to have for the options that Ampello is also a level 1, being a 1-for-1 target as another special summon from the deck onto the field, and also being able to banish it from the graveyard to add a Dino Wrestler monster from our deck to our hand can search out some of the more important Dino Wrestler monsters to use from our hand, and setting them up in the graveyard just like Marshall and Kilo, being able to, when it was sent there this turn, special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. Just more and more resources. So graveyard setup with these monsters is pretty vital when working with Yugioh Duel for that graveyard setup. So very, very strong for those plays. For the fact that we have a Synchro Dino Wrestler as well, which is Dinowrestler Yugioh Savat. This one can be easily summoned out with our Dino Wrestler Koala Salat. This one, if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. If summoned this way, this card cannot be used as link material except for the link summon of a Dino Wrestler monster. You can only special summon Koala Salat once per duel this way. But I run 2 of this card because I am running 2 of these Synchros. So even if you special summon it this way, you still have the level 2 option with this card and your level 6 Yugioh Duel, meeting the requirements with just those 2 monsters to summon out your level 8 Synchro monster onto the field. It's a lot easier this way. Some of the other ways when I tried messing with Dino Wrestlers always required this card and at least 2 other monsters with the ease of special summon. But having Yugioh Duel on the field just makes it that much easier of a play. So I'm glad to have a much easier way to make use of the Synchro summon in the deck thanks to the newest card we got in Dawn of Majesty. And then for the last of the Dino Wrestler cards, I run the 1 Dino Wrestler Marshall Anga. During damage calculation, when your Dino Wrestler monster battles an opponent's monster with equal or higher attack, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. Your battling monster cannot be destroyed by battle. Also end the battle phase after damage step. And once per turn during the end phase of this card's in the graveyard, because it was sent there by this activated effect, your opponent controls more monsters than you can special summon this card. So another graveyard setup for the special summon after you use the card is why I'm only running 1 of this card, because it's situational when you get that monster effect off to add and special summon this card back onto the field. It rarely really happens that much. You have to have it in your hand. It is searchable with some of the spells we run in the deck, but like I said, it has to be that specific situation for you to make use of this special summon, and then even that protection against your opponent's attacking monsters. For the last of the monsters, we have the Miscellaneousaurus at 1 on the ban list, but this is still good for all the dinosaurs we can pile up in the graveyard, being able to banish any number of dinosaur monsters, including this card, to special summon a dinosaur monster from our deck onto the field. And we have plenty of low-level Dino Wrestlers, so being able to just banish one or the other with Miscellaneousaurus by itself to give us, let's say, Marshall and Ampello on the field, or if we have other dinosaurs along with Miscellaneousaurus, the levels just keep going up from there for what we may special summon with this card. A great resource to use in the deck. That's why I always keep this one of when I try to go for as pure of a Dino Wrestler build as I can, because this card just really helps all together. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. The field spell. It is the World Dino Wrestling. While you control a Dino Wrestler monster, each player can only attack with 1 monster during each battle phase. If your Dino Wrestler monster attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 200 attack during damage calculation only. And if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon 1 Dino Wrestler monster from your deck. So not only can you target any of your Dino Wrestlers with this card for that field spell, giving you resources in the graveyard, the setup in the graveyard, I would say, is just as important as having this card on the field to limit your opponent's attacks. That's why I'm maxing this number out at 3, so we can have plenty of ways to send it to the graveyard while still using it on the field. And for more of the search, the 1 terraforming, you just want to have your World Dino Wrestling set up, but also still have the ones, like I said, in the main deck ready to send to the graveyard for the special summon of any of your arsenal of Dino Wrestler monsters. For the fusion option in the deck, after a little bit of playtesting, I was very, very happy with Tyrant Dino Fusion as the fusion card of choice for the deck. You fusion summon 1 Dino Wrestler monster from your extra deck using monsters you control as fusion material. And if you do the first time, the face-up monster will be destroyed by battle or card effect. It is not destroyed. So it is a quick play spell card. Our fusion monster, Dino Wrestler Chimera T Rexel, needs 1 Dino Wrestler Link monster and 1 Dino Wrestler monster. So unless we have or get some sort of miracle fusion Dino Wrestler type of card, we are going to have the majority of our monsters for the fusion be on the field to begin with, since we need a link monster. If it just said 2 Dino Wrestler monsters, I would stick to Polymerization, being able to use those cards from my hand to summon it. But since the link monster has to be on the field, then we just need that one other monster, which they can attack, and then you can activate Tyrant Dino Fusion, fusing them together, and then attacking with your fusion monster that you summon out. I only run the 2 though. It's more of a situational play to have those dinosaurs on the field for you to attack with, and then go into this card protecting the fusion monster you bring out. For more of the search power in the deck, I'm also running 3 Fossil Dig, just being able to add 1 level 6 solar dinosaur from our deck to our hand, and the fact that they made Iguanodraca a level 6 is perfect. Being able to search this easy of a special summon monster onto the field means we have all available plays for whatever summon we may want to get out, since it's just an easy special summon by discarding a dinosaur monster. For more of the setup for the World Dino Wrestling, I run 2 Foolish Burial Goods. This is just in the deck to send World Dino Wrestling to the graveyard. And then if your opponent controls more monsters, which if your opponent went first, they should have a monster on the field most of the time, you can activate this card first, sending World Dino Wrestling, banishing it, and then just getting your Dino Wrestler monster of choice on the field for you to make use of. So I only run 2 of it though, because we do at least sometimes like to have the 1 World Dino Wrestling on the field to use. So you really only need the 2 to help set up the field spells in the graveyard quicker for our other copies. I also run 2 Transmodify. This, for the fact that we run a good variety of different level Dino Wrestler monsters, means we can just go up and up from the different Dino Wrestlers we run, having at least 1 of every level all the way up to level 7 to use with Transmodify. So with that, we get more setup on the field for, let's say, some of the specific dinosaurs we need, especially when we are adjusting the numbers, so we can have the proper monster on the field needed for going into Dino Wrestler Giga Spinosavat. For more options with our normal summon, I also run 2 double summon, just more filling in the spots for the summons onto the field. If Miscellaneousaurus was at 3, this would be the spot for the other additional copies of this card, but sadly, like I said, we have to make use of 1, so the double summon comes in handy. Just that 1 additional dinosaur on the field could be what we needed just to have that 1 additional stretch to go into our bigger extra deck monsters. And for the fact that we're working with a good number of link monsters, I just run 2 World Legacy Succession. My best special summon with this card is when I special summon Dino Wrestler Stegosaur from the graveyard to one of the zones the link monster points to, because along with that special summon, I get a search for either the field spell or another Dino Wrestler monster. I have the 2 in here. If you wanted to drop some numbers, maybe take out one of the double summons, you can reduce the double summons down to nothing and put in a Harpy's Feather Duster and the 3rd copy of World Legacy Succession, since you should have a different link monster on the field a good amount of the time. And even if you special summon a link monster from the graveyard back onto the field, like Terra Pacorio, you can have that link arrow on the field ready, even if you set it up with your King T Wrestle for this setup as another link arrow to point to. And then for some of the one-ofs for these spells, I run the 1 for 1. We have the level 1 target with Empello to use with this card. 1 Call by the Grave, shutting down more of my opponent's graveyard plays, and 1 Monster Reborn for finishing up the spells. Just more resources to extend into with this spell for more and more cards on the field for us to make use of. Going back to that Link Monster special summon, you don't really want to use it with King T-Rexel, but Parcorio can have that Link Arrow to then combo well with World Legacy Succession from your hand. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 2 of the Dino Wrestler King T-Rexel. With this card, if this card battles, your opponent can activate spell or traps until the end of damage step. Your opponent's monster cannot target monsters for attacks except for the one at the start of your opponent's battle phase. So with this, you protect your other Dino Wrestlers, and you can target one attack position monster your opponent controls. This battle phase, your opponent cannot attack with other monsters until this one has. If it did not declare an attack, destroy at the end of the battle phase. So it's making your opponent basically battle your King T-Rexel on the field in the World Dino Wrestling Arena. So with the one-on-one battle that the field spell basically makes your opponent do, these monsters will do battle, and you have the Powerhouse Link 3 with 3,000 attack. And if your opponent doesn't have something else, or, ready to go in fully with their battle, you might have other cards in your hand ready to protect your Dino Wrestler monsters from being destroyed by battle to begin with. For some of the lower link options, I run the 2 Dino Wrestler Terra Parcorio. Needing 2 Dino Wrestler monsters, just like King T Rexel needed 2 or more Dinowrestler monsters. You can even go into this card first, then have one additional one before going into King T Rexel. But with this, if you activate World Dinowrestling, you can target one Dinowrestler in your graveyard, add it to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as link material, you can target one Dinowrestler monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position, but negate its effects. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except for Dinowrestler monsters. So once again, set up for just giving you that one extender after you use your field spell. Hit this card on the field to give you the Dino you may have used from your hand back onto the field for you to special summon. I also run the 1 Mrs. Radiant, the 1 also the Earth Charmer, 1 Barricade Board Blocker to work with the World Dinowrestling field spell, and the 1 Nightmare Cerberus, just all being the majority Earth attribute monsters, aside from Barricade Board Blocker, and also just power boost to all the different monsters we run. For the fusion, I am running 2 of the Dinowrestler Chimera T Rexel. If it battles, your opponent cannot activate spell or traps. Also, if this card attacks defense, it inflicts piercing battle damage. Your opponent's monster cannot target monsters for attacks except for this one. And if this card destroys a monster by battle, it gains 500 attack. If this card is destroyed by a card effect, destroy all your opponent's attack position monsters. This is a powerhouse of a monster with 3,500 attack. Being able to use our quick play spell to summon it out is that much more scary of a play. I run 2 to match the 2 quick play spells, so we always have the option to go into them. With the same being said for our synchro monster, which is Dinowrestler Yugioh Savat, needing 1 dinosaur tuner and 1 or more non-tuners. So pretty generic for the synchro lineup. If it battles, your opponent can activate spell or traps, just like the fusion in King T Wrestle. And also, no, your opponent can't attack other ones except for this one. And once per turn, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls and destroy it. And it will be destroyed by battle or card effect. You can destroy 1 card you control instead. So a protection card for your synchro play on the field. 3,000 attack is still pretty scary to hit over, and definitely a challenge for your opponent to do so. For the Xyz monsters, sadly there's no Dinowrestler Xyz. I run the 1 Logia, the 1 Dolka, and the 1 Solda for all the options available to us. Solda especially being a new addition to the deck for the fact that our Dracosava being a level 6 monster, if we can special summon it out onto the field that much more easily, gives us more of a special summon option with Solda on the field as another powerhouse. As for some of the go-to plays, like I said before, with your Iguano Draka being on the field for the easy special summon, if you have this and then Koasalot and 1 other Dinowrestler in your hand, you have the easy answer for your special summon for your synchro monster. With this card, if you control no monsters, being able to special summon Koasalot onto the field, and then being able to discard a Dinowrestler, giving you your Iguano Draka, having the level 2 and the level 6 options right then and there for your synchro play of your Dinowrestler Yugioh Savat onto the field. If you even didn't want to go for that play, you can always rely on the same play before, the discard, the special summon beforehand, and then the special summon of Iguano Draka, giving you the option for your Link 2 from there. And whatever you discarded from your hand for your monster will be added back to your hand, because then you'll be going for the Link summon of your Dinowrestler Terra Parcorio. With this on the field now, if you have the Dinowrestler or World Dinowrestling card, you can activate this card from your hand, which will then go and trigger the Link 2 Terra Parcorio. If you activate World Dinowrestling, targeting a Dinowrestler in your graveyard, adding it to your hand. So you can add the Stegosaur, summoning it on the field since you haven't normal summoned yet, and going from there for the Link 3 into our boss monster, King T Rexel. Like I said, this card adds so much more synergy, just being that 1 additional card needed for the plays, that I'm glad we finally got it for the deck. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. It's definitely a fun deck. Compared to Goki's, I've always been leaning more towards the Dinowrestlers for the funner deck that Go Onizuka used in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains series. But as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.